an object without it looking flat on the drawing surface, like this cube, which at the minute is just a square, we use a method of perspective. This doesn't only give our object dimensions, but it also gives us an idea of how close or distant the object is in space. What I'm going to do here is draw a simple line in the middle of the page. With practice, you'll be able to do this freehand. However, for the purpose of this tutorial, I'll go ahead and use a ruler so I can get those straight lines. Now, this line is what we call the horizon line. This can also be referred to as the eye level. Everything I talk about in this video relates to real life. For instance, perspective is visible in everything we see. Imagine we are standing in the desert and it's just completely flat for miles. There's nothing in sight and we can see as far as possible. What we have here is the horizon line. It's this continuous line and it also is our eye level. For instance, if you was to lay down on the ground, our eye level would be lower, so the horizon line would appear lower as well. And the exact opposite happens if we was to be looking from above with our eye level higher, the horizon line would appear to rise.
So I want you to look out a window if you can and figure out where your horizon line is. Um, it's the same level as your eyes are. And so if you are sitting down, if you could just stand up for a minute, and you'll see that the horizon line goes up with you and you see more of the ground. And then as you sit down again, the horizon line drops and you see more of the sky.
Horizon line will always be there. If we was to stand in a busy city street, it's still there, but in some sense this straight line has become obstructed because of all of these objects. So going back to our horizon line here, we are able to start using this in our drawing, but first we need to add something called a vanishing point.
So what I'd like you to do in your sketchbooks is draw a line that goes all the way from one side to the other, and set your sketchbook up so it matches this screen. So it's a horizontal orientation, like a landscape setting if you were printing something on the computer. So go ahead and draw yourself a horizon line that's about in the middle and put a little dot right in the middle like he's doing.
A vanishing point is a point which always sits on the horizon line. A common example is to imagine a train track going off into the distance, like what I've just drawn here. We can see that this train track converges to one point on the horizon line. This is the vanishing point. Let's take a look at how this horizon line, our eye level, affects our drawings. So in these early examples, I'm going to be using 1-point perspective. We start by creating our horizon line. Now everything that is placed above this line we'll be looking up at, and everything below we'll be looking down on. So let me create a simple cube using a vanishing point and place this above this line. So I'm starting off by drawing a simple square. Feel free to create any shape you would like, but we will be looking at creating more complex forms in later videos. I then draw some...
So go ahead and draw a square like he's done that is floating someplace above your horizon line. And we call this 1-point perspective because there's one vanishing point. And you don't have to be fussy about making it a perfect square.
Some lines from the vanishing point to each corner of the cube, and then I create some vertical and horizontal lines so that this gives us the side and bottom face. Also, you'll notice that I draft in the edges of the cube that we normally wouldn't see. This allows me to get a better sense of the form and shape of the object.
So what he did then was he went from one corner of his square and he used his ruler to draw a line down to the vanishing point. Then he took this other corner and did the same thing. And then he moved to this last right-hand corner and drew it down to the vanishing point. So go ahead and do that. And then he wanted to give like the back of the box. So there's a line here that is parallel to the horizon line and to the bottom of his box. And you can draw it in anywhere. You can draw it in down here if you want. You could draw it really close to your box. It'll just make your box look bigger or smaller. And then he did another vertical one that was straight up and down, and it would be parallel to the edge of your box. and essentially parallel to the edge of your paper too. So go ahead and finish those lines. You don't have to do the interior ones. You can if you want, but those are just to sort of show that it does all connect. He's going to keep drawing more boxes, but you only have to draw the one. You can keep drawing other boxes as he goes if you want. I'll stop it the next time I want you to draw something.
Now I'll quickly do two more around here so you can see how the placement and vanishing point relate to each other. You can do these at any size and place them anywhere on the paper. So now we have a range of different cubes above our eye level, and we are looking up at them, seeing the bottom and sides depending on its placement. Now I'm going to do the same but below the horizon, so we are looking down on them. I also want to start this one directly from the converging lines, so instead of having a shape at the start and then adding the sides, here I'm just taking a bit of a different approach. It's pretty much the same process, I'm just drawing the shape whilst we have those lines converging to that vanishing point. Although we are just creating basic cubes right now, through these tutorials, you'll see how much we rely on simple shapes like these. In this first episode, I'm going to briefly introduce 2 and 3 point perspective. I think at this stage it'll be useful to see how we can create a cube like we have just done here, but with the extra vanishing points. So 2 point perspective, if you haven't guessed already, it involves 2 vanishing points. So let's start by creating our horizon line like usual, and then marking 2 points on here at the sides. You can change the distance of these points, but be warned that if you bring them too close together, warping could take place in your drawing.
So on a new page in your sketchbook, or the back of the page you've been working on, we're going to start over again. Draw a horizon line that goes all the way across and put 2 vanishing points, one on the left close to the edge and one on the right. I am recording this, by the way, so that you can go back later if we're moving too quickly. I just want to make sure we can get through most of this in our 25 minutes.
But now that I've got these here, I'm going to go ahead and bring 2 lines down from one of these points, and this will give us the bottom and top edge of our cube. And I can draw this in. Now I'll go
He's going to go really fast at this point.
Go to the next point.
So what he did was he's sort of doing this process in reverse. So he made 2 lines coming from the left hand vanishing point, and then he connected them with 2 vertical lines that are parallel to the edge of the paper. So go ahead and do that bit. So that'll represent the left-hand side of your box. And now he's basically going to show you that he's going to do the same thing from the right-hand vanishing point, but he's going to line up the point on his straight edge with this point here, the bottom of this line. And then he's going to take this point to the top of this line.
Bring lines down to these corners, and this will give us the next side.
Okay, so this line to that vanishing point, this bottom to the vanishing point, and then you draw in another vertical line that's parallel to the others you've drawn. So now you have 2 sides of your box. What he's going to do next is he's going to take from this vanishing point to the top of this line and then crisscross from this vanishing point all the way over to the top of this line. Because this box is below the horizon line, it's below our eye level, and we would therefore see the top of the box. So that's what he'll draw next.
Finally, we can use what we have just drawn to add the top of the cube. Just to make this more clear, I'm going to draw the other edges and sides as if we can see through this. This is below our eye level, and
So I think what he's doing is helpful where he darkens the lines. So after he went from this left vanishing point to the top right corner, he went from the right vanishing point all the way to the top left corner. And then you can go around and darken your lines so that we really see the outside edges of the box. And then I would also darken these 3 lines as well. Don't worry about the inside ones unless you want to do it. They connect to the opposite vanishing points, and then he just put in a vertical line where it created a corner. But it's okay if you don't want to do that step.